Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about finding talented developers and if that is difficult. So let's get into it. So the question in question today was, Fredrik, is it true that it's really hard to find talented developers? And in a word, I will say yes, it is damn hard to find talented developers. So last time I checked, I think that the unemployment rate of professional programmers is, I think it was 1.5% or something like that. Now let's just assume for the sake of argument that this is globally true. So that would mean that the vast majority of people who do programming is actually already spoken for. And if we look at the Stack Overflow report from the last 2 years, roughly, I think it was, according to them, 95% about-ish, don't quote me on that exact number, of professional programmers who took that survey who have a full-time occupation. And then there was a few percentages of people who did it part-time. But mostly people are employed. And that is just all of them, pretty much. That's not even counting the most talented ones. And I mean, if you just think about that, it's just it's a completely insane world. I mean, I would just assume that being a recruiter in these times must be a pain. Like a real horrible shit show of things that you have to go through in order to find anybody, pretty much. But then, of course, luckily enough, there are quite a lot of people who are very greedy as well, so you can always, hopefully, lure people away with money and stuff like that. But yeah, it is this is a seller's market. For sure it is a seller's market. Now, you may not think that it is a seller's market, but that is usually because of two things. Now, on the one hand, if you're not among the highest demands when it comes to software development, it is usually because you are a junior, because your market value is almost nothing when you are a junior programmer. And the reason is very simple. You are perceived to not be able to produce as much as one of these top-notch, like whatever developers that some people call them rock stars or like seniors or something like that, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? Because the thing that people are paying for is that you can produce software at a professional level. We're going to touch on that as well. So if you're not getting calls on a fairly regular basis, it's very likely that you have too few years on your CV, or that you don't have the other thing, which is equally important in many fashions, or in many cases at least, which is that you don't have the right tools, so your CV is miscommunicating something. I've talked to quite a lot of front-end developers who seem to have never really written a single line of code or anything like that, and to me, my untrained eye tells me that they are designers or UX people, and that they've listed a few very simple things within front-end that gives them something to say about coding, right? Usually it's like jQuery, Bootstrap, Git, and the command line, these sorts of things. And usually they don't get all that much attention either, because to the industry, these are not the same thing. This is not the same thing as being like a highly skilled software developer or someone who can really code, if you will. And that is the thing, that is the thing that people are looking for. People are looking for people who can do what we call professional grade software development. And these people are rare as, well, I wouldn't say, okay, rare may be a strong word, but there is a surplus of people who sort of code. There is a surplus and like a saturation of these people who have almost no relevancy in the workplace. They don't have any professional level experience. And some of them think that they do. I mean, even the ones that have worked for quite some time might have other issues and so forth, because that's the thing, like being talented is not just about knowing the ropes of the industry, it's also about the quality of the work that you have done. An example that I've given to a few people here on the channel is that one of the first dangers that you can face when you go into software development is that you allow your fear as a junior to take the upper hand, and then you get a job offer from the wrong company. And the wrong company for your career is a company that offers you a way of working where your skills will not develop in line with what the rest of the industry is actually doing. Now, going on your own path, if you're just in it for the money, or if you're just interested to get the job, any job, anything that you can do as quickly as possible, then sure, then you can go into WordPress development or email development or Jira, being a Jira expert or something like that. Something that is extremely niched in comparison to what most of the industry is considering to be professional grade software development. And you can do that. But then the thing that is important, then it's important for you to also be aware of that choice is going to affect your future career options. Maybe you're super talented, maybe you just pick it up and then it's all good from there. But normally, the thing that people need is to get coached within this clique or the sphere of what they're going to be doing in order to actually improve those skills. And these are just examples. It could be other stuff as well, where you don't really get a lot of return on investment, or like there's not much. I mean, it's adjacent to what you're going to do, but it's not really the thing that most other software developers are doing. And when you then come to a company such as, well, I can only speak for the companies that I've spoken to and the companies that I've been helping out when it comes to the hiring process. I mean, you don't really get through the door. Pretty much. I mean, unless you pretty much enhance your CV to make it kind of sound that you know these things, because that's something that's very common as well, and then you're, for the most part, going to waste a lot of people's time, you're not going to get through the interviews, simply because you don't have any actual work experience. You're not a programmer, like not a real programmer. You're not the sort of programmer with the experience that people are looking for. And that's the dangerous part. And this is one of the reasons why I want to make these videos, to try to help you navigate through this. Because some of you may think that it's all equal, it's just all programming. Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. It's not just all about anything goes. It's not about, this doesn't matter what you do. It's extremely important that you don't fall into this sort of pitfall. Unless you know what the industry is looking for. And this comes back to the idea of trends and brands and like all of this stuff, market value and so forth. Unless you know this stuff, you might find yourself going into things that may or may not actually increase your market value. And that's the sort of thing I want to help you out in avoiding. Because if you want to be in one of those high demands positions where you pretty much, well, most of the time, I mean, you still have to go through the recruitment process. I'm sorry to say, you still have to deal with that. But it's a lot nicer, if you will allow me to say so, to be in a position where everybody's calling you and you're basically just sitting there turning down offers and like options and so forth, than be on the other side where nobody calls you and you can't get anybody to actually get on the phone with you. So what I want you to take away from this is that yes, demand for skilled programmers or talented programmers, people who can do this for real programmers, is enormous. You have no idea how insanely high the demand is. It is definitely a golden age of opportunities for anybody who knows how to do professional grade software development. But that is also the key thing there. Professional grade software development, the sort of stuff that most of the industry is interested in. It's not about just knowing anything about coding. It's not like you take a boot camp and then you're off to the races. It is about knowing how the industry works. It's about knowing how the tools that most of the industry is using works, and also that all-important thing, to be able to produce the results that are at the level of a professional IT company. Have a great day.